Hey everybody, happy Monday. Welcome to the Resistance podcast for StarWarsNewsNet.com. I'm John. Thank you for joining us on this July 18th. We have a fun show for you because we don't know what we're going to talk about. We have a couple things at the top that I'm going to pitch to these two wonderful folks here named James and Lacey. Don't adjust your dial if you're watching on Lacey. YouTube. Lacey has a new background, so let's get that out of the way.
Fam, we've made it. We made it here, fam. We did it.
Happened.
We did it together.
The audio crowd's like, don't care. Just talk about it. No, it looks great. Looks great.
Thank you so much.
Who's the, is that
this
the Kira?
This episode is my nightmare with no plans. What?
Is that the Kira Mighty Mug on the top there?
Yeah, and SpongeBob's behind her, but you can't really see him.
Nice.
So I love SpongeBob, and they're like figures where he goes, imagination. They did like a meme line, so I bought I love SpongeBob.
By far your most admirable piece is, or I should say admiral piece, is your Akbar.
Yeah, there's my buddy. They're like, so people at home listening, so my background has progressed over the years of like random closet where you can't see anything.
That was my favorite.
To room that's really disorganized. To shelves that look like Star Wars threw up on it, and I have now, I don't know, upgraded my background. But the thing is that there's only so many things that you can put in the screen. So I had to make choices really fast tonight because I haven't done the whole thing yet, but I was like, oh no. And like certain things won't fit in certain places. So I was like, oh God.
Well, I think you have the best opportunity to every week change like your centerpiece item or something.
That's a lot of pressure.
You have a lot of stuff though.
I know. Someone recently asked me to do the 365 collection again. They were like, can you do that? I really enjoyed the last one. And I was like, I probably could do literally 2 more years of it and never repeat.
That is insane.
That took a lot out of me.
Shut up, John. Jerk.
Also, I mean, but
I was
you
like,
have
wow, someone was so nice and said they enjoyed something I did. And John's like, shut up. No one cares.
I didn't say that.
I did
not say that.
Right?
What?
You have your schedule then, right? You could just do that in order.
I could.
Yeah.
I don't schedule it though. It was really random. I should have been more organized. But regardless, it's exciting and new. And it's really thanks to the patrons where I get to upgrade stuff.
Thank you all. Patreon.com/Resistance Broadcast. If you like the show and you want more of us to make upgrades. And
to all those haters that said it would never happen, here we are.
Were there haters?
So many people that were.
So all you Vader haters out there.
I'm joking. But there were at least, I don't know, 5 people that every week would be like, so you're never moving, right? Like, that's never happening. And I was like, it's happening.
When we first started YouTube, it was probably around when you joined, and you were in like that dark closet with just like a lamp on, and people probably thought
it's my guest room's closet. Yeah,
people probably thought we kidnapped you and just had you podcasting out of a closet. So
we didn't do video then.
We didn't do video in the closet. No
I did. No, I didn't do video until I was like out of the closet in the other room at a desk.
Gotcha. All right.
The fun thing now, especially, is that Matt's now sitting 20 feet from me.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
So he gets to make awkward faces at all my lame jokes.
Oh, he has to listen to you podcast now?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, madam.
Great.
All right. Well, here we are.
Smile.
We're doing the thing.
He can be Gene's guy now. Like, he can just show up like a little bit.
He goes, I'm ready to die.
Aren't we all? All right. Here's the deal. Hasbro, the wonderful people at Hasbro, have decided if people don't want to back the things that we're trying to make, we're just going to make action figures of the people. So the newest thing that they're doing is called
oh my God.
the Selfie Series, where you can make yourself into a 6-inch Star Wars action figure. And boy, are people who have Twitter accounts who like Star Wars going to make these. I think this is the strangest thing. I think it's kind of cool, but still a little strange. I would only make one of these if you two made one, because I'd feel like I would have to do it. But what do you guys think of this when you heard it? I thought it was a joke when I first heard it, but apparently it's a real thing.
James, what do you think? I'll let you go first.
I think that it's smart for them to do this. I would say the only person that really loses in this is like if someone does this and then later gets their action figure made, or maybe anybody who is getting their action figure made for a legitimate reason is like, yeah, but anybody can get their action figure now. You know, you can just pay to have your action figure done, kind of thing. That's the only thing that I think like there's a little bit of a loss for the people that like, I don't know, it's really cool. Like I remember we've seen so many Star Wars characters or actors get to like see their action figure for the first time and they're very excited about it and stuff. But I don't know that that's really going to take away too much. So it makes sense to me. And it is kind of cool. I imagine we'll go around here and say like who we would want as an action figure, like what character we'd like to have our face on. But Lacey, what are your thoughts?
So I was kind of surprised they decided to do this only because people have been doing this for a really long time. Like when I used to work for comic conventions, there were always booths that were set up that would do a full body scan of you and then 3D print your action figure for you. So this is like not new technology. They've been doing this for a while, like smaller guys. So I'm sure those people are like, come on, man. The thing that I can think of at first when I looked at the action figures is that they look like the people, but they still don't look exactly like the people. But I know that there's a lot of creators out there that are super talented that do repaints of action figures. So I could see this being something where you get yourself printed and then maybe commission one of those guys to like paint it even more detailed to like really look like you. I don't know if you guys have ever seen that, like people repaint Barbie dolls or action figures and stuff. It's really cool. Other than that, like I still don't know why we haven't had a Ben Solo action figure.
Well, Adam Driver can order one of these and have them make one of them.
Yeah.
I know, and I feel like that's going to be like you could print your own. I'm like, okay, but there's only like 3 bodies that they're putting things on, so it's like
there's only 3 bodies.
It's very specific characters. You can be an X-wing pilot. It's very specific stuff so far. So like it's a Power Ranger, but it's like specific Power Ranger. So basically what they're doing is they're taking the molds that they already have and they're building the bodies and just shoving your head on it.
Right.
That's literally what they're doing.
Ghostbusters too, I believe, is another one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that it was limited to that. So I'm seeing, Power Rangers, Ghostbusters, you know. So it seemed to me that one looks like Sabine. Is that not Sabine? I don't know.
I think they have a Mando body, an X-wing body, and then something else. But they haven't announced the price for this. First of all, it's nowhere to be found. They said that they're gonna first let people start pre-ordering at San Diego Comic-Con. So I'm interested to see what the price for this type of process is. But personally, I understand how it could be cool. I don't want an action figure of myself. I would want it of the characters that I really like. I still want a Therm Scissor Punch from Solo. Like I still want all those cool creatures that we never got anything of. And I remember sitting in a bunch of interviews with Hasbro where they'd be like, well, you know, every time we make an action figure, we're not making something else. And I'm like, okay, well, you did this. So does this take away from something? Was something, you know, pushed aside to make this happen? How does this correlate with what is announced? I'm interested to see. Oh, Stormtrooper was the other body, James. So it's Mando, X-Wing, Stormtrooper.
I feel like, I don't know if this is true or not, but this is just my feeling on it is, I feel like they are maybe too dialed into what they think people want via what people talk about on social media and stuff like that. And sometimes a lot of people talk about stuff on social media, but they're not using their money to buy said things. It's just like...
Well, the Reva double-sided lightsaber that they announced at Celebration, people were pumped about it. And then when it got announced it was Reva's, I feel like people then were like, nah.
Which is
interesting.
Yeah, my whole thing on the Reva thing, because...
It was expensive to me. That's why I didn't even go in for it.
It's like $500.
It was just super expensive, yeah.
It's an item for a character that is only being used in something we already just saw. And that's the only time we're ever going to see it used unless they do a prequel thing with her or like
no
comics.
Tears.
Right. She, at the end of the series, she quite literally throws that lightsaber away. Gone. Done. And then they're like, buy this brand new Reva lightsaber. It's like, it's already outdated from a canon perspective. Like there's
But I wonder if they knew that, though,
that's the thing. I think there's a big disconnect between Hasbro and Lucasfilm. I know a lot of it has to do with, the protections of story and stuff, and I completely get that. That's fine. But for something like this, like a prequel series, even though it's a new character, I think that might have been a mistake. But because like they didn't worry about reveals for the episode 9 or episode 1 figures, the Phantom Menace, they stocked all the shelves. Here's this person, here's what they have. Qui-Gon has a green lightsaber, just so you know, all this stuff. and like now it's like, we dare not reveal who this new Inquisitor's what their lightsaber is. It's just, I think that's a misfire, just like the bad timing with the Rancor thing. We talked about that. Everyone's been talking about that, how, you put that out after chapter 7 of Book of Boba Fett and maybe it has a better shot. So
not only that, if you do that specific Rancor, because Mando still remains the number one thing for them right now. And that's why they keep making figures of those characters from Mando. Like that's their moneymaker. So I'm not surprised they keep making stuff from the Mandoverse and the new characters that come out from that. But I feel like there's just this kind of gap for me as a collector where I'm like, I love the sequel trilogy. I begged them for years for a Rey lightsaber. And when it came out, everyone got one. And I was just like, okay, well, where's that sequel stuff? And I feel like every time I have a conversation with them, I get fan questions that are like, what about sequel trilogy stuff? Where's that kind of stuff?
Yeah.
And it's just like, for me, it just feels like they've moved on from it and they're only doing Mando, which is a little frustrating, or prequel stuff. And I'm like, look, I love the prequels too, but the prequels did make a lot of toys during the prequels.
Yeah.
Do you think this is Hasbro or do you think this is Lucasfilm? Like is Hasbro like, we want to make blank because we think people really want that, and Lucasfilm saying, nah, don't make that stuff. Make Reva's lightsaber, or something like that. And they're like, okay, I guess.
I don't know if it's that. I think that, speaking about Rey's lightsaber, I think that was the thing that they didn't know about until later. And then Disney moved quicker because they didn't do the switch ignition, whereas Hasbro did. So it took time to develop that and figure that out, which it's absolute perfection. It's just things take time, and then COVID and supply chain and all these other things. Like people are still haven't gotten figures that they said were going to come out last month. It's just crazy. And I'm one of those people, we say it all the time on the show about like wanting to root for stuff. Like I want to root for Hasbro. I've bought so much stuff from them. I want them to make cool stuff that I can support them and be like, yes, I want to, back their projects, like the Razor Crest and stuff. But it's hard to back things when you're like, okay, here's a lightsaber with no tears for a character that you're going to see probably once. And it's just like, I don't know. I just don't know.
And for our audience who's wondering, like, are they going to do the Resistance Report thing? No, today we're really just doing one of those open chats that we do every once in a while. It's not a state of Star Wars. We're just talking about whatever's on our mind, whatever's topical. And that's going to be the show today. We have other stuff later. We got Resistance transmissions and, of course, an awesome pod race. So just for everyone listening and watching, just sit back and enjoy the conversation, I guess. But hopefully. But the thing about the sequel trilogy you have me thinking, Lacey, is I wonder if because they feel maybe not everyone loved the sequel trilogy. I mean, everyone I talk to really enjoys it, but maybe they're waiting for the nostalgia element of it, sort of like they saw with the prequels happening. And maybe they're waiting for the kids who grew up with it to have money and income to spend money on stuff. Maybe they're just on a holding pattern right now for that and saying like, all of you who are old enough who liked it when it came out, you're going to have to wait. We know you're still going to buy it anyway when it comes out because you're going to be even more hungry for it because of the nostalgia. I think maybe that's got to be the plan. Otherwise, I just don't understand it. So I'm looking for a reason. That's the only thing I could think of.
I mean, maybe because the stuff that they've been making have been prequels, Rogue One, and Mando. And those things tend to be the things that are trending a lot online.
Yeah.
And the things that people want. I'm telling you though, if they made a Ben Solo, that thing would sell out real quick. And it's not just from like diehard Ben Solo fans. I'm saying like everybody that liked Kylo Ren. People bought Kylo Ren stuff.
What do you think if, say they didn't do the Reva lightsaber, say they did a HasLab Ben Solo lightsaber, would that have been backed?
Yes.
I think so too.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. I feel like there's no way around
the blue one, like his before he turned.
Yeah, and if it
And
came
maybe
with
the
stuff,
tiers.
the tiers could be different stuff. Yeah.
Well, I was going to say the tiers could be something that he'd have to start getting into weird canon stuff, but I was going to say maybe then it could be turned into...
Or the blaster he
the
uses
red one?
to
The
fight his
blaster.
way into...
That Lando gave him, yeah.
That Lando gave him, yeah, because his lightsaber does exist already at Galaxy's Edge. So to do the blaster would be something really, really cool that has a lot of different elements that play into it, from it being Lando's to being in the books to then, obviously people are big Ben Solo, Kylo Ren fans.
I never buy stuff, ever.
And they haven't done a blaster yet, I don't think. No, they haven't.
No.
They've only done ships.
But I just bought pre-ordered the new Obi-Wan Kenobi lightsaber because I'm like, this thing looks... It was always my favorite lightsaber
amazing.
hilt. It's the same as Luke's from Return of the Jedi. Quite literally, it was the same prop, but it's just painted differently. It was always my favorite hilt. I like the display it comes with and everything. I was like, I haven't bought a lightsaber in a while. I have the Vader one that I got 17 years ago. After watching that final duel, I'm like, I gotta get the duel and I'll display them eventually together. But so I'm coming from a perspective of someone who doesn't buy stuff and just wondering what people do. Now, Lacey, obviously you have a different background now. People are used to your other background. You buy stuff. You have a lot of Star Wars merch. James, I think you're more in line with me. You don't buy stuff that often. But a lot of our listeners buy more stuff than all of us combined. You saw at Celebration, some of our listeners are like, they had to pack probably an entire cargo thing and have it shipped home.
I still can't get over I didn't really buy anything there. I bought like a couple pins.
The art piece ahead of time you got.
And the art piece, yeah. And that was
me too. Yeah. So it'll be interesting what they do next. I mean, HasLab now is for their last two. So they may have to reconvene and figure out, like, maybe we're looking in the wrong areas, or we're doing things timely in a bad space, or we have to get more in line with Lucasfilm or something like that. I don't know what it is, but like you said, we're rooting for them. We want them to do well because we like when they make good products for fans to enjoy. That's what it's ultimately about. I don't care about HasLab's profit margins. I care about them being able to make something that fans can afford, for one thing, or if not, it's something that people who do have the money to afford it can get, and if it's a quality product, all that stuff. So it's all about making good stuff.
It's expensive to be a collector. I mean, those Black Series figures are now upper 20s.
Yeah.
You have to, if you're getting every single figure, like, good for you. Because it is not cheap to do.
Yeah.
I can only think, like, when I think about that stuff, I have a couple Black Series that I've picked out, and they all just seem really random. But when I think about ordering them, I always think about ordering them in collections. Like, I want to get all of the Ghost Crew. I always want to get each one of the Bad Batch. You know what I mean? Like, I was like, I like that concept. And there's still some today that I'm like, I'm not, like, I haven't purchased any of what I just said, but if I were going to buy some that seems like a cool thing, there's still some groups out there and things that I like, well, we haven't seen that. Like, why didn't they do that? Yeah.
Yeah. I'm definitely leaning towards the side of, as a Star Wars collector in general, I always buy like the weird stuff, like the stuff that's like, I don't know, like I have the Camptono from Disney, from the Disney store that was sold out. The Disney night, they put it online. I grabbed one. Or like, I don't know, the desk piece from Tom Spina of the Kowakian lizard monkey. Like, I like weird stuff because it's just, I like stuff that's a little different.
Yeah. I recognize that, like, because a lot of stuff that I might be inclined to buy is just like something that like everybody has. It's just like they mass produce this thing like crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, Black Series, for example, you can just go to Walmart and pick up that toy, but it's like you have to go to Celebration or something.
That's the other part of this, is that it is impossible to find figures now because a lot of the stuff's done through exclusive sales online and they sell out in 2 seconds, and it is impossible to find them in the stores. And it's just, I mean, John, I think, posted a picture of Walmart, like, what was it, a week ago, 2 weeks ago, and it was just empty.
Yeah. It was like 2 of those like kid lightsabers, and I don't even know if they had any action figures. It was like a plush Boba Fett. It was like, man, I at least, when they like dwindled it down. It was like a section of an aisle that was still Star Wars, and you would see action figures and stuff like that. This was one row of pegs or column of pegs with like nothing on it. Like, it was crazy. And there were like other franchise stuff that I didn't even know what they were, with like a lot of stuff on the wall. I'm like, what is going on with Star Wars merch? Why is it so this way? What? I feel like it's just trending in the wrong direction in terms of, and even people who are like mega positive and they love everything that they make and everything that they make is gold. Like, I feel frustration with them when it comes to merch and merch availability, and these like, you know, scalpers buying up all this stuff, and you see it on eBay an hour later for $1,000, and like, there's got to be a better way for them to get this stuff in the hands of kids, more importantly for me, and of course collectors. So I don't know who knows what they're going to do with that, but I mean, what else? I mean, we could talk about merch for forever, because there's just a lot of they're always putting out stuff, so we can go through that. But I think the pulse of that, you know, I don't see it. It just doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel like a positive part. And Star Wars always felt like it was the one that would set the bar when it came to action figures and stuff like that. Since it's like Inception.
I think my positive experiences with merch as of late have definitely been from like fan created merch, like fan t-shirts and pins and stickers and stuff, because people get really, really creative. And like I said, it's different. It's not the same art on every single shirt because that's how Disney does it, is they have a folder of different art designs and they give them to companies, and then the company takes them and puts their own spin on it, but it's basically the same design. So I've always enjoyed more of the fan created stuff. Plus you're supporting someone that's a small creator, which is always a big thing for me. Yeah,
that's fair.
Have you guys read Shadow of the Sith yet?
I was going to buy it today, but I forgot, so I'm well behind. It's
sitting next to me, and it is one of the most beautiful Star Wars books I've ever seen. Like, it's got this nice kind of velvety cover. It's got this like smooth cover, and the art is like so crisp. It is a thick book, though. It looks like Harry Potter.
Is it?
Is it really that long?
It's a thick book.
And is it hardcover only?
I don't know. I love hardcovers, so I'm not a paperback type person.
Yeah, I guess I gotta buy the hardcover.
It's beautiful though, and I'm so excited to read it. And people keep being like, "Have you read it?" I'm like, "I haven't had the chance," and I feel bad because like I love Adam Christopher, and like I haven't had a chance to read his book yet.
Oh my god, that is like, looking at the length of the book. I think that's the biggest Star Wars book that's been released in canon. The longest.
Let's take a look. Yeah. It's a big book.
Oh it is. Gosh.
How many pages? 465 pages.
Oh, mama.
It's a beautiful book, though. It's like really nicely colored. I love the art with Luke Skywalker.
Once we all read it, we got to get Adam on the show.
Yeah, and do one whole episode about it, because I'm like geeking out about it. As soon as it came, I was like, this book is amazing.
Yeah, you know me, I usually don't like reading Star Wars, but I've known Adam for some time now, and I felt so bad when his Mando book got sort of panned or canceled, but when he got this, I was like, I gotta read this book, so I gotta check this out. Yeah, gotta check it out. James, are you on this yet? What's going on with you with Shadows of the Sith?
Shadow of the Sith?
Yeah.
No, I'm always I don't know, stuck with all these books. Man, not like stuck with them, but I mean like I'm stuck on the fence, like if I want to move forward with this one and that one and stuff, and I don't know, it's just been disheartening for a while now on how much all of the reading and then
High Republic I'm totally disengaged from. I'll fully admit that. I don't have that much interest in that right now. And then I look at what else is out. Princess and the Scoundrel, I'm not that interested in that. The Padawan book, I don't have much interest. So this is the one I want to check out, especially with all the little like nuggets I'm hearing about it and how it's sort of, I guess, improves the gaps or appreciation for things in the sequel trilogy. So I don't know.
So I was thinking about this recently when it comes to like
Lacey's doing a commercial for the book right now. She's got the book up on her desk.
At this point, like how many books have come out? And I was thinking like, I remember when I was reading them and it was interesting because I was like, ooh, this one's a 7. Like this one's a 5. This one's a 9, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I had this list of everything, like how I rated them. And I was like, okay, these are the best because these to me are like 9 or above, you know? And there was like 4 or 5 in that category. And then there was more, and then there were more and more, you know? And it just feels like anytime I ever read it, giving the score is like, it's not like it's one of the 8s. It's like it's another 8 in a sea of 8s, you know? And it's I think that kind of comes from having read so many of them. Like I was reading all of them and I got just so burnt out. I'm like, I don't know, if I read this, what do I get out of it? There's hardly any discussion happening around it. And then when it comes to like videos and reviews and other thing, I think one of the big thing is like, I remember there was a big Star Wars book that was coming out. Like it was, you know, you would think that it would get a lot of reception. And I went an entire week and I only saw one piece of content about it that wasn't promotion, just like from Star Wars. Like, so one Star Wars creator or fan or anything posted one thing about it once. And I was like,
what book was it?
It was the 3rd Thrawn book.
Oh, well, that's your answer.
How'd I know John was going to say something like that?
Well,
there are a lot of Thrawn
There's a lot of Thrawn
How many
books.
books are there?
Yeah.
I know, but I'm saying like they keep making those books because they're
selling.
They're selling, or like people are obviously interested in that. So you would think that like the Rise of Skywalker of the novels is coming out, and yet one person did a review on their thoughts on the book, and I saw nobody else talking about it. Not even fans like excited to read the book today, picked it up today, you know.
Well, also, you know,
besides like in our chat, like obviously in the Patreon chat and stuff.
And don't forget, like
that's we're talking about every release that comes out, but I'm talking like on Twitter, you know, my feed or on YouTube, Googling like review of book, you know, and just didn't see anything.
And a book doesn't need to sell a ton to offset its costs. Like, you know, I was in publishing production for a decade, and it's like, yeah, it costs money to produce a book, but not like a TV show or anything else like that. So they can make a Thrawn book even though 2% of Star Wars fans buy it and still make money on it. You know, and Timothy Zahn can put bread on the table, whatever. So I get that. It's just I always had a hard time reading Star Wars anyway, but with this book, Shadow of the Sith, I just feel like everything I'm hearing about it just feels like there's just so many juicy elements to this thing that I really just want to absorb it myself instead of just reading what happened in thing.
Yeah, and everyone I've seen, because I've been reading a couple like non-spoilery reviews, have said that it expands on what we see in The Rise of Skywalker, where there's a lot of moments that you're going to be like, oh my gosh, this moment means so much more now. Which I would love to have with that movie, because there are a lot of things that I'm like, ugh, I don't really like this about that movie, but I would love to have that connection with this book where it kind of gives me a little bit more explanation to why they made certain choices.
Yeah, like wanting to watch the Clone Wars because you didn't like Attack of the Clones or whatever. Yeah.
Right.
The interesting thing to me is that I feel like from the outside perspective of why is this book getting more attention than other things, I think it's touching a little bit on the stuff that we were just talking about with the action figures and stuff. I think it's the only sequel trilogy we've gotten in a long time. So covering Kylo Ren, Ben Solo, older Luke, Rey's parents, Oshi of Bastoon, like, and the fact that people are talking about how it potentially makes The Rise of Skywalker a little bit better. It's just any sort of connection to the sequel trilogy at all. You have a subset of fans that are like, bye. Oh, it's the greatest thing we've ever read or anything. And I don't know anything about the reviews. I have not read it. It probably is pretty good, but I'm saying I wonder if people are leaning that way because there's a certain connection to the sequel trilogy that isn't getting attended to. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of people like myself that definitely want sequel trilogy content. I mean, I've been saying it forever. That's like, okay, what about more Rey? And they canceled the comic series and they canceled all these other things. And it's like, why are you steering clear of this era?
Yeah.
So.
And, let's not, they've, I feel like history is being rewritten a little bit about the prequels. Like when the prequels came out, they were not liked at all. And I mean, little kids liked it, but little kids didn't have voices back then. And we get how that whole thing works now. Now they're the ones podcasting and all that. So it's gotten this like resurgence. And
it's me.
That's all well and good. I still watch Attack of the Clones. I'm like, man, this is not a great movie. This really is not a great movie. And like, I still have a hard time watching a lot of the scenes, especially the Padme and Anakin stuff. That's never going to change for me. That's just my take on it. But the Clone Wars animated series, a lot of the books and comics and stuff that they've made around that time helped people find their path to that era and see an appreciation in it, which is what they're starting to do now with the sequel trilogy. So for people I see reviewing this book who may have hated The Rise of Skywalker or they didn't like The Last Jedi or whatever, they're like, wow, this made blank more justified to me, or this made this feel more sense, like it had more sense to it, or I like what this character did more now because of it. So I think, that stuff is key for a lot of fans to come to terms with things that they may have not liked. So it's always a positive when you get a book like this. I'm curious how I'm going to view it because I liked all three movies from the sequel trilogy. There's some I like more than others. I feel like I like The Rise of Skywalker more than most people do. So I'm curious how me, who likes that movie a lot, what I'll take away from this book, because mostly from what I've heard, or how it's helping people who maybe didn't like it. So that'll be interesting too. So anyway, Adam Christopher, congratulations. It sounds like everyone's really loving it. So we got to have you in the base once we all read it and absorb your awesomeness. So congrats on that. But what else is going on? Doesn't have to be obviously, news. We're not doing a Resistance report here or anything like that, but anything else that caught your eye or you've been doing related to Star Wars or anything for that matter?
What are your guys' thoughts on the Patterson cut of Kenobi? Have you come across this?
The what cut?
Patterson cut.
I watched a different cut that was better. I watched the Kevin Smets cut.
Kevin Smets cut?
Yes.
What is that?
So Kevin Smets, people may know him from the Schmodown. He is an editor. He's a TV editor, and that's what he does for a living. He made his own version of it, and I watched that. So he made a movie version of the Obi-Wan Kenobi series. It was about 2.5 hours. And I've heard about the one that went viral from that other guy, but I know Kevin, and he's
How did they download this show?
Who knows? Who knows?
I mean, you can screen record.
I know somebody who is sitting on their couch right now watching Jurassic World Dominion. So who knows?
Is it your couch?
No, it is not my couch. It is absolutely not my couch. Not me. Not connected to me. FBI, do not come to my house. It is not me. But you know what I mean? Like people just find ways with their pirating and their whatever they call those things. But anyway, so I watched Kevin's cut. I didn't watch the viral one, but I watched Kevin's, and I actually really liked it a lot because it cut down how long the series was to a 2.5 hour movie, and it really did feel like a movie. And there were still all the payoffs there and stuff like that. And he made some cool choices with the music and that sort of thing that weren't too on the nose. So I thought it was interesting. And he had said like, I'm not trying to profit off this or anything like that. If you have a Disney Plus account, I want you to still go watch that, but I just did this for fun. So that's all. So great job, Kevin. I think your cut was awesome. I don't know about this other guy. I don't know him.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's Lacey, if you missed that, it seemed like I was seeing it a lot on Reddit, and then specifically today, my friend Ashi, you guys know Ashi from Beartooth.
Yeah.
He was like, dude, do you know how to get the Patterson cut? Do you have a link to this? Like, where can we get it? Because it blew up so quick, so fast that it went viral. that I guess he got contacted by Disney or something. They made him take it down. He says, I can't do anything with this. So, I worked really hard, and I raised up all this awareness around this 2.5 hour cut. He also said there was like a 4 hour cut, but he even went into some spots and like changed certain things. There was like a very specific scene with where Vader's watching Kenobi burn in the fire, and he like adds a scene of a stormtrooper in there, and then like changes some of the voice that Vader says to make it seem like Vader's allowing Kenobi to get away.
Did he change the Obi-Wan running direction?
The running direction?
Remember how we talked about that, where he, in that same episode where it's the third episode where him and Vader have their first encounter?
Oh, that's right.
He runs to the right and then he comes back to the left.
Yes, yeah.
Kevin Smets flipped it. He flipped it.
Did he really?
Yes. Yes.
That's a good change.
That was a great change. I was like, holy cow, he flipped it. That's
because the reason you notice that is because they're supposed to follow the action. It makes no sense. They've broken the 180 degree.
Well, one of you pointed it out on our live show. They were like, it looks like he went back for something, like he dropped his wallet.
It's so weird to feel like I don't know if either of you mentioned it, but I felt like I was the one that brought that up.
I think you did.
My thoughts on it were like, when I saw it, it felt strange, and also too, I mentioned at one point like the shaky cam thing.
Yeah.
And like we kind of glossed over it really quickly. It was like, well, I think it was supposed to be for like the tension of a nerveness of the moment or something like that. And now it seems like I see it almost daily, people being like, what was with the shaky cam in Kenobi? Like I'm seeing that all the time, and I'm like, yeah.
I only say that because the first Hunger Games movie,
weird.
the first Hunger Games movie, like the guy filmed the whole thing with shaky cam. Gary Lawrence, I believe his name was. He did the whole movie in shaky cam to get that feel of like you're in the woods with Katniss. And I remember that was the biggest complaint people had about the movie. They were like, why are you like running with her? Like, why aren't you just put the camera on a tripod, please? You
know what? I think, and check out those cuts if you like. Like, that's not a commentary on the actual version. I love the series. I think if you watched our episodes covering it.
How long were each of these versions?
It seems like they were both about two and a half. You said 2.5. I think his was 2.5 as well.
Yeah.
He said he also did a 4 hour version where he left some other stuff in, if you're more interested in that.
Interesting. I saw a cool quote, well, not a cool quote, but an interesting quote from the director of The Boys, which has been like everything I've seen about The Boys, everyone says is amazing. But
I'm through it. I'm through season 3. Yeah.
Yeah. He said that he had made a quote about TV specifically. And he's like, with these seasons now, people are stretching these seasons to like, 8, 9, 10 episodes. He's like, you could tell the story in 3 or 4 or 5. Like, you don't have to stretch it out. Like, just tell the story.
Lacey, did you finally watch Stranger Things?
I have not yet.
Yeah. John, you can't say anything on the podcast anyway.
He already ruined it for me, so there's nothing else he can say.
All right. First of all, that was an accident. Second of all, I apologized. And everyone listening is like, did he spoil something again? No. Well, first of all, Lacey stopped talking to me for like 3 days after I did that.
I was so
completely stopped talking to me. So we've gotten over it. It was like when George Harrison quit the Beatles for like 3 days. So, not saying we're the Beatles, but
John kept texting me being like, are you still mad at me?
Well, yeah, kind of. But anyway, that I felt that way about Stranger Things because, and this is not a spoiler, some of the episodes of this series are over 2 hours long.
So I watched volume 1. I haven't watched the second part that just came out.
So I'll just say this.
So the first part, I skipped through all the Russian stuff.
Exactly. I just did a whole rewatch of the whole season because I was like, wow, with that show, once I absorb everything, you meet new characters and stuff. I'm like, I want to go back and rewatch it so I understand this better. Because there's like a billion characters in Stranger Things, and they give them all wonderful arcs somehow. So the Duffer Brothers, come to Star Wars, please. But when I did my rewatch, I fast forwarded through all the Russian stuff. I was like, that story.
Oh, I did that to begin with.
I was like, the whole
kind of bored with it.
The whole Hopper story could have been told in 30 minutes, and they stretched that thing out so long. I don't need he's sitting there in the snow talking to some Russian guy about his like foot. I'm like, what am I watching? I'm like, just.
I was also surprised that they spoiled that so early on that he survived. Like, they didn't let that have the payoff of him being alive. Because I don't know if you remember, like, when they kind of faked his death or whatever, then they were like, he's not really dead. And you're like, it's been 2 days. Like, let people
probably haven't seen this stuff, so.
Well, that was last season, so if they haven't seen last season.
And Stranger Things is pumping all this stuff out on their social medias now. Everyone knows that guy. He's doing the press tours and all this stuff. I'll say this, before we go back to Star Wars. I don't like an in-shape Hopper. I liked it better when he was like an everyman.
Dad bod Hopper?
Yeah, I don't like that. I liked it when he was like a little bit of a slob. I thought that was more endearing to his character. How dare he?
About the whole TV thing, and I've said it on the show many times. Like, I'm not as big of a fan of television because I like the rewatchability of a movie. Like, I know, like, oh, it's 2 hours. I can put this thing on, get through it, right? And when I was having that discussion with Ashi, I was like, man, I almost wish that there was an officially released version of these shows that are like a theatrical cut that the directors or whatever could put together. I know that might feel weird because they feel like their art is the hour-long episodes, but I was like, man, I bet you some would be on board if there's money involved, and I would maybe that's a way to get me to buy physical again. They'd be like, instead of special features on the DVD, this physical version comes with a theatrical cut, like a 2-hour cut of the season. And I'm like, oh, I want to see that, the official version of that. And then it got me thinking, man, it almost might be more interesting if they, this is dumb, they'd probably never do it, but like if they released that first and you saw it and then they went through and had an entire season of the shows where all of that stuff has been expanded and it's like the long form version of it.
The best series I've seen recently where I did not fast forward anything or tune out or feel like at any point I was like, okay, where is this going? Was Squid Game. That is the only show recently that I was like, I will take every single minute of this show.
Yeah. You know what else?
I feel like there are episodes. What?
You guys don't watch The Boys?
I'm gonna start. That's my next show.
I haven't watched it. Matt watches it. I haven't watched it.
Yeah. I watch The Boys sometime, and I feel like there's times where I'm like, I don't have this reaction to Star Wars stuff. Like it's like I'm like, this is the legitimately great show that I'm excited at the end of every episode to be like, wow, that
felt
changes
that way
a
with
lot.
Squid Game. Squid Game was something that I blew through in like a night, like a day.
Really? Did you dream about it?
No. Why would I dream about it?
Well, you never like watch something or a lot of it during a day or especially at night, and then it like gets into your dream that night. That happens to me a lot.
That would be terrifying. No.
I thought that was a pretty common thing.
I think it's pretty normal.
Audience? Yeah. Come on.
No, I'm saying that specific situation.
Oh, yeah.
If it was Squid Game, yeah, specifically.
Well, I feel that way about Only Murders in the Building on Hulu. Steve Martin and Martin
I
Short.
gotta watch that.
That's
I'm hearing good things about that. The other show, I used to say I don't watch a lot of television. Now I feel like I end up watching a lot of television.
You just named like 3
Well,
you're like, I don't watch a lot of television. I watch The Boys and I'm watching this show.
I watched all that, all 17 seasons of that. That's done.
Exactly.
I just rewatched all of Cheers and MASH. All 40 seasons.
I like For All Mankind on Apple TV.
I hear that's good too.
Like, I don't think people are. I don't know anybody that's like legitimately watching that. I don't think I know one single person. Who is?
Molly Damon is.
Is she? Okay. I mean, at least maybe I'll like hit her up and be like, you're the only person I know in real life that is like watching this show. I feel like Apple TV has a lot of good content, but they just don't have the market.
But going back to what you were saying, James, I think with Mando season 1 and 2, I felt that way where I was like, oh my gosh, where is this going? For Book of Boba Fett and for Obi-Wan, I'm going to be honest, I didn't have the excitement I had for like a Squid Game or Mando. It just felt like some of the episodes, like it was slow, and then the last 10 minutes would be really fast. Oh, that was the quote from the Boys guy. He said you create a season where you have all these episodes and it builds up to like one big episode. He's like, just tell the story. Like, you don't have to do this like slow, fast. That's how it's like with like Harry Potter books. You read the whole book and then at the end of the book, it's like everything happens in the last 2 chapters. I hate that.
I think the problem, I don't want to say the problem with Kenobi because I really enjoyed it and I've already done rewatches and I still like it very much and what they made. I think what could have created that is it started with a movie and they wanted to keep a core story, and clearly Stuart Beatty laid out the groundwork that most of his ideas were transformed into the show. So they had to stretch the dough out and then add stuff to fill 6 episodes because Disney said, well, if this is coming to our platform, we need to make it content and we need to have eyeballs on it. So we need to add minutes. And so they probably did stretch things out that maybe didn't need to be stretched out. So, so that's Kenobi. Book of Boba Fett. I don't know. Robert Rodriguez, maybe he wasn't the best fit for show running. Who knows?
I think Andor is going to be great.
Tony Gilroy, how you doing?
I'm so excited for that series.
Yeah. Everyone is sleeping on Andor.
Shut up, John.
All right. We got to move on. We have other stuff to do. So.
Oh, okay.
Do you have other things you want to bring up?
No, I'm just laughing that we spent a good chunk of time talking about Stranger Things and other things that are not
Stranger Things have happened. I don't know what to tell you.
And then we're just like, all right, time to move on.
People actually like these open chats we have. We haven't had one in a while. So let someone else have a turn to speak in our next segment.
All right, guys, it's time for the Patreon pod race. So, if you'd like to support what we're doing here, and you enjoy these open chats about Stranger Things and other stuff and taco challenges and what have you, you can head over to patreon.com/resistance broadcast. Starting at just $2 a month, you can support what we're doing and what we plan to do, whether it be a taco challenge, a pie to the face, or like whatever weird stuff we come up with. But outside of Patreon, you can also support us on Twitter at RBATSWNN, on Instagram at The Resistance Broadcast, or on YouTube. Here, you can subscribe to us. We just hit 8,000 subscribers, so thank you guys so much. Definitely ring the bell for notifications so you don't miss anything. And on all the audio platforms like Spotify and Apple Podcasts, please leave a review. So this is part of the show that we let our generals and spice runners take part. We ask them a question, they give us their answer, and then we discuss. So before I do that, I want to thank those people. So thank you to our generals: CARMELO, John RISI, JETTA Rosewater, Paul Olson, Frank Grande, Darth Hurricane, John Charlton, Nick Kratz, Christian Morales, Brian Smith, Matt Chitty, DANI, Mike Rumore, Matt Heath, Chris White, Brendan McLaughlin, COUNTPEPTO, Samuel ZIELKE, still haven't looked that up, and Val TRICHKOV. Thank you guys so much. Sam, you looked great in the shirt, by the way. I did see the photo, though. Yep. And our Spice Runners: David Probus, Neil SHAH, Kendall GELNER, Ryan WAARA, Dave HORNAK, MICAH Harrison, Thomas HENNESSY, Andrew STALEY, and Jeremy Myers. Thank you guys so much. And this week we have General Beard John RISI.
What up?
Speaking of collecting, John RISI has like a crazy Sideshow Collectibles, like perfection. So yeah, anyway. His question was, what familiar Star Wars character do you want to see appear in Andor that has not been officially announced as part of the show? John, take it away.
Hello, TRB. General Beard here. Just leaving work, and I wanted to get this video out to you. I really would love to see Saw Gerrera in Andor. Forrest Whitaker coming back. He'd be a little younger. He'd be a little more spry. We get to see him get involved in some more action. I think it would be really great to see him interact with the early rebellion and how their approach to fighting the Empire differs so much, and maybe how that affects Cassian, how Mon Mothma interacts, maybe even Jimmy Smits is back too. I love Saw as a character and Forrest Whitaker as an actor, and continuing his story from Clone Wars and filling in between where we see him in Rogue One at his end, I think could be really cool, especially with how hard-nosed he is and the approach and the stance that he takes against the Empire. All right, General Beard out. Everyone have a good evening.
Awesome job, John. Now we're going to head to James. James, what did you think of his answer?
Did you go to me because it was Rogue One, or did you not want to say John twice?
I did not want to say John twice because I knew you were going to mock me for it. So,
John. No, this is a great answer, and I think it's one of those like sneaky things. Like, oh, could we get it? One thing that's kind of interesting too is the fact that Rogue One happened. You know, they show like a Saw Gerrera at one point early in the movie, and he's got the bald head, and everybody remembers like that was our first look at him. With the first trailer, had him with the bald look, and like, you know, he kind of walks out and everything, and then like when he got to the movie, he had hair and he was looked like it was totally different character. That bald version shows up though, so you know, it wouldn't be unfamiliar for people who have seen the movie to see that version of Saw from a few years ago, probably, you know, kind of thing. Most people probably didn't watch Rebels or whatever, but I think this is the good take. Saw could pop up here. He could pop up in a couple other series around this time, other movies and things. That's awesome, John. Yeah, good pick. And thanks for doing the pod race.
John?
I'm not the biggest Saw Gerrera guy, but I do like Forrest Whitaker. And I feel like if we can get a healthier Saw Gerrera, I might be more interested, which John brought up. You know, he said maybe a guy who could be more hands-on doing the things that he's preaching in a way. I think that could be interesting. He's a fantastic actor. I like a lot of the things he's in, even that movie that a lot of people don't know, Phone Booth, with Colin Farrell from like 2002. He plays like the cop who's trying to hostage negotiator. He's great, all the way back to Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Who smashed up my car? So I would be down to see him come back. I think that'd be a real treat for a lot of fans who love Rogue One and love the character. And also, if they're really gonna do that whole like Roots of the Rebellion thing, and like they've hinted at it with Enfys Nest and obviously with Saw Gerrera, and see what more of that, I think is very interesting, because then everything that comes after it, when you see the rebellion fully realized, you knew all these people were involved in sort of getting that collective together and getting people to buy in on this ridiculous idea to rebel against this galactic-wide gigantic empire. And anytime you can give us more of those characters, I think that's a benefit. So it's a good pick. I'm not the biggest Saw guy, but I think it'd be cool to see still. So great job as always, John. Good to see you, man.
Every time I hear Saw's name, I just think of like, who will you become?
My child.
And then it's like that trailer where she turns around, which wasn't even the movie.
Yeah.
Gareth Edwards was like, I just turned the light on and it looked cool. So I said, hey, Felicity, stand over here while I turn the light on.
Right.
I love it. John, great answer. I think we're definitely going to see him in the series, I think. Like they're going to try to make that connection in Rogue One. But yeah, thank you so much. And now we're gonna head to Lacey for our next.
You get this new spot. Just let old things die. It's time to let old things die.
Thanks, Lacey. Now it's time for resistance transmissions. All right, guys, it is the part of the show where John puts up a crazy, wacky situation on Twitter, and you guys give your answers. So this week, we had a scenario of, say a prequel special edition is made, and they add one line for Dooku to say immediately after he cut off Anakin's arm. What does Count Dooku say? It's a pretty good question. First up is Sean Santarude at Rude Cold. How rude, Sean. Where you been? He said, I saw your browser history. You deserve this.
That thing's got legs.
Yikes.
Yeah.
That is a TRB inside joke. Next is Robert Vincent at Rob and Nene. Ooh.
Robin Nine.
Robert said, at least I didn't chop off your head. Dun, dun.
Yep. Always go for the head.
Yeah. He got his head chopped off by that guy.
Yeah.
By Thanos. By Thor.
By Anakin.
No, I know. My quote was from... Never mind.
Next is Andrew Staley at Deuce_Staley. Hey, Andrew. He said, from now on, you can enjoy shopping at the second-hand store. Young Jedi. Well done, Andrew.
The first-hand store. Gotcha.
Next is Brennan at Qui-Gon Bren. What up, Brennan? He said, young Skywalker, it's foolish to think you could defeat a Sith single-handedly.
That almost feels like it could be in the movie.
Yeah.
Almost feels like a line you would say.
Next is Mark at Kind Awakens. At _kind_awakens. And Mark said, I cut off your arm and pushed you aside. This was to demonstrate that you, Anakin, are arrogant and impatient, and I am a formidable antagonist. Count Dooku, written by George Lucas.
That also feels like it could be in the movie.
That's one of the best ever. That was great, Mark.
Next is Brian Ward at Brian E. Ward. What up, Brian? He said, I could have cut off 2 arms, but I instead have chosen one.
Got it.
A prophecy joke. Oh.
And next is Jagarama at Jagsy. 2022. This is your year, Jagsy.
Yeah.
He said, chosen one my A. And that's a swear word. But well done. This is a John. This is... Go ahead, John. Why don't you yell that?
Well, they say that word in The Rise of Skywalker, so I figure it's okay to say it.
Okay, go ahead, say it.
Chosen one, my ass.
No, you got to say it like you're Darth Maul. Get your butt to Dathomir.
Oh, get your ass to Dathomir. I forgot about that.
Thank you guys so much. If you want to be on the show, make sure to follow us on Twitter at RBATSWNN. Back to you, John.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for listening and watching, being a part of TRB. Make sure, in addition to subscribing to the show, sharing us with a friend, spreading the word about our show, you're also going to StarWarsNewsNet.com for all of your Star Wars news, reviews, editorials, information, and more. Today, I should be putting out a review of the Light and Magic documentary that is coming out on July 27th. So check that out on StarWarsNewsNet.com. I obviously am biased because Lawrence Kasdan is my king. However,
so don't believe his review.
It is great. It's great. But yeah, so that's pretty much all that. Lacey covered all the subscribe stuff, right? So thank you to everybody. Make sure you do spread the word, though. That is really important. That's how we grow. So the 8,000 subscribers on YouTube is huge. We're only 992,000 away from 1 million. Big milestone coming. So let's try to get that. And you could follow me on Twitter at Johnny Hoey, writing and editing at Star Wars Newsnet, and my movie podcast, Just Like the Movies. We just put out an episode on The Fugitive this past Tuesday, and we're doing White Men Can't Jump next week. James.
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram, both at Myra Trunks.
Lacey.
People can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Lacey Gilleran.
All right, we will be back on Thursday, where we're going to be joined by a guest, comedian, writer, actor, impressionist. You know him, if you're a Star Wars fan, as the best George Lucas impressionist out there from the Deep Fake videos. Josh Robert Thompson will be joining us on the show on Thursday. We're going to have a lot of fun with him. So enjoy your weeks, and we'll see you next time right here on the Resistance broadcast. See you around, kids.